Hey, what's happening YouTube? Hope you guys are well today. I didn't really have much planned, but I'm just gonna kind of talk to you about what I've been up to the last few days here. Not too much going on. I had pretty good trading today. So, let's take a look at what's been going on here the last few days. Generally, I've been still in the demo account, just trying to perfect my ideas. 21 trades and keeping that win rate pretty high. The last couple sessions, not the best, but we're sort of getting there. What's important is to be able to go back and kind of acknowledge what it is you're working on improving. Because if you kind of approach every session and you do what you do, but you don't spend time reviewing it and seeing where you messed up and what you can improve on, then really there's no point to doing what you're doing. So what I can say about that is that I am seeing some progress in terms of my abilities to read the tape and determine, our buyers being aggressive, our sellers being aggressive. And these are the things you got to watch for when you're looking for those confirmations. All right. One really cool thing is that Jigsaw released footprint charts. And I don't really want to say this in a video, but they've been kind of glitchy these last few days, but I managed to get them working. So basically I use a 30-minute footprint and I'll show you what it looks like here. So that's sort of what the 30-minute footprint looks like on Jigsaw right now. And you can see it looked great. In fact, I think this is perfect. You can see the buy volume, sell volume, delta imbalances, and basically, that's what you need to see from a footprint, in my opinion. So 30-minute delta footprints on record for you there to get your context and some nuances appear there. And I will say that they've been a little bit glitchy with loading the data so far, but they are still in beta, so you've got to give them some slack for that. I gotta say the footprints look phenomenal. What you do if the data messes up, go into your documents folder, then you go to Jigsaw Trading, and you see this folder titled Cache. So basically, if your charts are glitching out and you can't load the data properly or you have missing data, you go to your cache. When Jigsaw is closed, you delete the cache and then reload Jigsaw, and it's going to be able to load in the data from scratch. And that has always worked for me. So I'll give you the example. I just came back to the desk. It's 3 p.m. here and I left around 11, and basically all of this data from 11:30 until 3 was all missing, and I was like, okay, why is it not loading? So I tried refreshing it a few times, and then sooner or later I said, okay, I'm deleting the cache, and it worked like usual. So if that happens to you, just go and delete that folder and it'll work fine. Cool. But other than that, footprints look great. Perfect. Why don't we go ahead and look at the markets? I mean, yesterday I was sitting here configuring and troubleshooting, and I was watching the market. The market was very thin yesterday during the election, but this is pretty much what the NASDAQ did. I was just sitting here literally watching the tape on my side monitor, and I was just watching how spready this market was. Like, you could have traded it, but you got to keep a wider stop on that thing, and you got to really lower the size and keep a wider stop on that market if you're going to trade that. But really, it was so spready. I was watching the thing just whip around 30, 40 handles like it was nothing, because there was just no liquidity. And even this morning, there was very little liquidity. So, NASDAQ's kind of whippy. I like the NASDAQ for that reason. Most days, you're going to be wanting to wait out the first 25, 30 minutes of trading. So, yeah. Let's look at some tape from today. Let's see if I can find some. Let's go over this example. So this was from yesterday, which would have been November 3rd, 2020. And this was after 10 a.m. when the market started to consolidate after touching these highs here. All right, so what we've got is some consolidation, and now we have a rally. All right, so what we're doing is we're watching the reaction to the impulsive move. So we had an impulsive move up, and some traders who are late to the party, because there was a massive rally before this, are thinking that it's time to buy the market. But what's interesting is how the sellers at this point are pretty damn strong, and that's why you got to watch the rallies at this point. So we're sort of painting somewhat of a down trend at this point, meaning we're making lower highs. That gives us a little bit of context to say, all right, selling rallies might start to work, but we need some confirmation coming from the tape. So if you were watching this whole idea, you would have clearly seen that there were some sellers that took control near the top of this move up to about 317. Okay, and in reality, when you look at the structure of this market, you can see that the sellers, in fact, have no reason to cover unless we start pushing these highs 323 and higher. So what you're going to see is the market try for 318. So we have this. Let's watch that quickly here. 315. and see what happens. And just keeping a look, we're bidding higher, 318. We see some above the offers, 318, 319. And then we see some below the bid prints, aggressive seller. Okay, so that tells us that there's a seller. He has no problem selling a bunch up here. In fact, he thinks that's a good price to sell. So what we see is the market sort of continue, and then we see a little bit more of that. Okay, so the sellers kind of took control there in the short term, and that kind of got me interested in somewhat of a micro short position. I kind of liked how they were aggressive, and then we started to bid lower. So you can see that we're bidding lower on that price here. And I might have got out of this trade slightly too early, but in reality, judging from what's happening on the tape, I don't believe there's any reason to exit this trade right now. In fact, profit target should be pretty much under these lows. Okay, so there you go. I put in a buy stop, got stopped out, but in reality, I would have wanted to stay short there. So as we try for 312 another time, let's see what happens. And again, we're looking, can the buyers get this thing going or can they not? And if you're short here, where are you leaning on? Probably up here, because that's the most reasonable location. That's where shorts are pretty much going to be wrong, and you do not want to be short above that price. As you can see, the sellers are still interested in this market, and we're seeing more bias to the downside. There's no reason to be long here. In fact, long traders from here are starting to panic out of their positions, and the ones who are really curious are going to put their stops right under this low here, and guess what? You fade it and put your profit target right there. Okay, so what we're going to see here is the thing pretty much takes out the low in a short period of time, but I think it takes a couple more seconds here. We see a bit of this sideways movement, and then in about 30 more seconds we have a small rally, sellers answered again, and we take out the low. So if you were short, you would have probably wanted a comfortable profit target under this low. Now let's continue to watch this, right? So we're still trending lower. Now, what I noticed very, very interesting, and this is just something I'll say based on experience watching this stuff, it's that when the market is trending in a given direction, it will always give counter signals. It's always going to give traders the anticipation to trade against it, right? So you can see in this case, we had a rally, a rally, a rally, and another rally. So again, right here, what do you think traders are trying to do? The majority of people, you know, the not so smart traders are saying, all right, here we go. We broke the low, no follow through, time for a buy. But again, where are we rallying back up to? This is a very common occurrence. A smart trader is saying, all right, this is an interesting rally. I want to see, can the bulls get any follow through with this rally? If they can easily start bidding higher prices and lifting the offers above 310, then the bears might start panicking. But if they rally and then just get no follow through and start fading back down, that's a sign that the shorts are going to take advantage of it again. You could playbook this. I don't really know what I'd call it, but it's a very typical thing. It happens almost every day in both directions, up and down. So we see a continued rally at this point, and the market is finding some liquidity higher. But if the shorts are really going to start panicking, they need to get above this 320 zone. All right. So from a risk to reward standpoint, if the order flow is suggesting weakness at these prices, I think from a risk to reward standpoint, this is still a pretty good short. Hindsight's a demon, of course, but just try and be objective about it. We rallied and then we instantly sold off about 5 handles on not a lot of orders, to be honest. So here comes a second attempt, 315. And this is the type of narrating you probably got to do when you're doing this yourself, because if you narrate the auction, you have a higher probability of understanding it and not getting swept into impulsive moves against the trend. So there you go. We're sort of bidding lower at this point. And there we go. We're pretty much going down on some couple of blocks that hit in there and taking the price lower. So again, we sell off. Now we want to see, can these sellers continue at this point? Do the buyers have any steam left in them? So you're going to see that we try for this, 310. There we go. We tagged 310. Can we get above 310? Or are we going to continue offering it? In my opinion right now, if the buyers can't step up above here and we just continue to see this, you're going to short this and keep your profit target right under that low. And in this case, that ends up working. So look at the aggressive sellers here just continuing to keep control of this market. And on these rallies, we see very limited buying. Okay, we might see these short rallies, very limited buying. And again, always important to stay objective about this as you're trading it. So we saw some asks there, but again, just fading back down, answered by a couple more sellers. So, in regards to tape reading, guys, are we going up on buyers? Are we going down on sellers? Are the buyers aggressive? Are the sellers aggressive? This is the stuff you got to watch for and practice watching for when you're reading the tape. And guys, I'm not trying to teach you how to read it. I'm trying to teach myself how to read it. So there we go. We have more sellers that attacked it. And in reality, that was a pretty good and pretty straightforward setup. Nowhere during any of this move did the buyers take control. Okay, as soon as we were not able to bid above 310 and continue bidding lower, there was no reason for you to take a long there. None of this is any advice to trade. In fact, if you don't understand the risks associated with your trading, then you should not even be doing that. So I will bid you farewell. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, guys. Ciao.